Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me as one of the speakers at the annual Cyprus Investment Summit. Let me begin by saying that it's a distinct pleasure to share this first session with Lord Hani, and to say that unlike what some people might believe of us, we are not at all conspiracists. We are pragmatic and forward-looking. And let me also say from the outset that it is always helpful in this regard in order to avoid going into a direction of unnecessarily feeding misunderstandings, to be very careful with the use of appropriate terminology. And I refer specifically to the reference to a government of the so-called TRNC, which is nothing else but an illegal secessionist entity. And that is not simply a legal terminology, which is included in relevant UN resolutions for Cyprus, but it is of utmost importance for all of us to have a proper understanding and approach with regard to these issues against the backdrop of the particular importance, especially within the current geopolitical, regional and international context, of the need to preserve the framework, the only viable path ahead for Cyprus, which if questioned would have very serious repercussions not only for Cyprus but for others, including the United Kingdom, that has very vital interests in the Eastern Mediterranean, which is that the only path ahead is a one-state solution. You have asked me to speak about the geopolitics of the region after the recent elections in Cyprus, Greece, and Turkey. Let me begin by saying that this is a very pertinent topic in the light of the current geopolitical context and of the developing dynamics regionally and internationally. It is a time when the use of force has returned to the forefront as a means for the resolution of disputes. This by itself highlights the imperative need to redouble our efforts in order to bring diplomacy and the respect for international law back to the fore of international relations. Cyprus doesn't come to the regional and international scene as an actor which is being held hostage of its political problem. We are an active, constructive, outward-looking, reliable and predictable partner who aspires to build bridges of understanding and cooperation. The 3+1 regional cooperation schemes that were initiated since 2013 are a testament of this approach of regional multilateralism based on international law and the law of the sea, guided by inclusivity and the avoidance of zero-sum games. At the same time, we are, of course, knowledgeable of the additional potential that will be unleashed through a solution to the long-lasting Cyprus problem that will overcome the current model of perpetuating rivalry as a result of the ongoing Turkish occupation, and will move us towards a new paradigm of peace, stability, and cooperation. Focusing now on what should be done for the Cyprus problem and subsequently for the region. In today's turbulent global landscape, our approach cannot be other than to address the root cause of the problem. Turkey continues to illegally occupy, violate the sovereignty and territorial integrity, and even threaten with the annexation of the occupied part of the Republic of Cyprus. We cannot be selectively sensitive when it comes to adherence to these fundamental principles and resort to approaches of double standards. Efforts for a comprehensive solution have remained stuck since the unsuccessful conclusion of the Conference for Cyprus in Grand Montana, Switzerland in July 2017. Since then, all attempts have been impeded by the policy of the Turkish side to reject the agreed basis of a federal solution, as demonstrated through positions for sovereign equality and equal international status, which essentially advocate for a two-state solution. From the very first day of his election, President Christodoulidis has reaffirmed his commitment to continue the efforts for a solution on the basis prescribed by relevant UN resolutions, to preserve the body of work that had been accomplished up until the closure of the conference for Cyprus in Grand Montana, which comprises the convergences achieved on all chapters of negotiations and the 6 points presented by the UN Secretary General in the said conference. We firmly believe that this is the only viable and sustainable path ahead that can safeguard the vital interests of Cyprus and all Cypriots, and in the long term of all involved in the Cyprus problem and of all international actors with vital interests in the wider region of the Eastern Mediterranean. This last aspect should not be overlooked, especially against the backdrop of the current regional and international geopolitical landscape. Within the context of our effort to create a conducive atmosphere, the President took the initiative, even before the official assumption of his duties, to meet with the leader of the Turkish Cypriot community on February 23rd, under the auspices of the UN. He also expressed readiness to hold additional meetings, an invitation that is still open. In the past recent months, the main challenge in front of us was to navigate through this very sensitive period and to be able to get to the point when the landscape will be clear from upcoming elections, so that we can focus on tangible steps ahead. The way up to here has not been easy. 6 years without a negotiating process is a very long period. In these 6 years, we have witnessed attempts for the creation of new fait accompli in the occupied part of Cyprus, violations of Cyprus's sovereign rights, efforts to pursue the upgrading of the secessionist entity, the so-called TRMC, and the continuous upgrade of Turkey's military infrastructure in the occupied part of Cyprus. It is for this reason that the continuation of the current situation is not sustainable. In this challenging context, we stepped forward, proposing that we explore and identify incentives that will create win-win solutions and generate a positive agenda for all involved. We are seeking an enhanced role on behalf of the European Union in the effort to overcome the stalemate and to resume negotiations. This does not in any way question or substitute the leading role of the UN and the Good Offices mission of the UN Secretary General. It is intended to support it in its effort to break the deadlock and to resume the effort for a solution. The two are not competitive, they are mutually reinforcing. At the same time, we stand ready to explore other factors that can be catalytic in this regard, being fully conscious of the imperative need to look at the bigger picture, to act with a long-term perspective so that we can overcome the stalemate and pave the way for a comprehensive solution. We shall remain focused on doing our part in order to enable a positive outlook towards a new era of peace, prosperity, security, and stability in Cyprus and the region. I thank you very much for your attention.